Howdy, gang, and welcome to another edition of Terror Time Tea. I know I haven't done one of these in a few weeks, but this is an little bit early, Valentine's Day special edition of Terror Time Tea. And I have, in honor of this special edition Terror Time Tea, I will be drinking some rose tea because, you know, the ladies a lot of times we'll get roses for Valentine's Day. I know I love to get roses for Valentine's Day, but you might get other flowers for Valentine's Day. Or you may not get any flowers at all. Some of you gals might prefer something else like jewelry or something like that or candy. Um, but I'm pairing my rose tea today with these little Debbie Valentine mini donuts, and they're very good. And I'm sure they're limited edition for the upcoming Valentine's Day holiday. Right? It's just a shame everybody didn't get off from work for it, right? But I'm on here to drink some tea, eat some of these donuts, and talk about a couple of movies. And you will notice that I just had Valentine's Day special. And some of you guys and gals may say, well, Dana, you've talked about these two movies before. Um, that in the past, people have said things like, it's boring because she talks about the same stuff all the time. Well, I may talk about the same movies, but I think a lot of us do. I mean, there's only so many movies that you can talk about, right? Especially if you're, kind of limiting yourself to horror and things like that. But every time I, do a repeat of a movie that I've already talked about, I try to put a new spin, a new twist on it. So I've also got new programming out, the Dick's Picks, the Cannon Fodder. Um, don't forget to vote for the upcoming watch alongs. I've got a poll coming up for the February 22nd and 23rd. There are 3 movies each for each of those days, Saturday and Sunday. So make sure you get your votes in because the Monday of that weekend that, we're going to have those watch alongs, I will be locking down the voting at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So make sure you get your votes in before that time. I think it's like the 17th. So you will have until Monday, February 17th at 10 a.m. Eastern time to get your voting in. At that time, I will be locking down the polls and I will see who the winners are. So if you want to, have a say so of the movie that's chosen, please make sure that you get your votes in. Okay. We've had about 15 or so people vote on each one of those. Okay. So I'm trying to get, a lot of new programming out there so things don't get stale. People with an eagle eye probably noticed that I had the first episode of Soup and Jellos. I'm trying out the shorts thing. And I managed to get a short out there just under 3 minutes because 3 minutes is the short maximum length that YouTube will allow right now. It used to be 2, I think, and they upped it to 3. So if you want to see some little bite-size, a bite-sized version of like my movie Munchies where I don't actually go into step by step by step of what I'm doing to make this. I give you the link to the recipe. I give you the ingredients. I show you the soup, the fruits of my labor, and talk about a jello to pair with that soup. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get to the movies, okay? And again, I'm trying to drink my tea fast because tea gets cold really, really quickly, and I like to have my tea hot. All right. So, the first one, of course, is my traditional, then we cover up the title, movie that I've been watching around Valentine's Day for years and years and years, even before me and Steve got married. Since I discovered this little gem, My Bloody Valentine. It's a Canadian made horror movie when the Canadians were outshining all of us, really, at least in the horror and slasher department. And I'm sure some of you have probably heard this mentioned before regarding this movie, but I consider this movie the working class horror movie or the working class slasher because you basically have these young guys who grew up in a mining town, Valentine Bluffs. It's called Valentine Bluffs. And they, of course, work in the mine. And one of the young men has left, went out to California, and came back. We don't know why TJ went out to California. We don't know, if he was trying his hand at acting or something. He just tells his former girlfriend who he wants to get back together with, and she's kind of hesitant because he just left her there, didn't, and didn't write to her while he was away. So there's a scene between the two of them where he says, I wanted to, but I just couldn't. I really fell on my ass out there. So again, we're not really sure what he went out to California to do. My guess is maybe he wanted to be an actor and it just didn't pan out for him. And so, basically he had to come back home with his tail between his legs, trying to pick up the pieces of his romance, his life, everything. His relationship with his parents, especially his father, who owns the mine. And is also the mayor of Valentine Bluffs. So we get a backstory of why the town stopped celebrating Valentine's Day and having dances and stuff. And so the story goes that Harry Warden and a bunch of other miners were left unsupervised by the supervisors who were eager to get to the Valentine's dance in 1960. And unfortunately, there was an explosion, and the townspeople worked day and night to rescue these miners. When they broke through to where these miners had been trapped, there was one person left alive, Harry Warden. But Harry Warden had lost his mind, and we don't know if the other people just died in the cave-in, and then he had to cannibalize their bodies because we see him chewing on an arm, we assume, of one of the other miners. And we are told in this story that he spent the last year, or the following year, in the state mental hospital in Greenville. And a year later, he breaks out and kills the two supervisors who left their post to go to the party because they were just so excited. And told everyone, don't ever have another Valentine's dance ever, or this same thing will happen again. Basically, he killed the two supervisors and pulled out their hearts, put them in candy boxes, heart-shaped candy boxes, and had them Either he placed them there or somebody else delivered them and the blood started leaking out. There's a shot of the blood leaking out. So 20 years later, Mabel Osborne, who owns the laundromat, decides that, 20 years is long enough. We're going to celebrate Valentine's Day. We're going to have a dance. It's going to be great. And she's one of these older people or adults, I guess you could say, that is in tune with the kids basically and wants the kids to be happy. And it's not your typical adult in a horror film or in any film of any genre. Um, every once in a while, you will have an adult who says basically, maybe the kids aren't all that bad. Let's do something fun for them, okay? It's kind of like the Footloose thing. They had banned dancing in this town. And I know I'm not talking about Footloose, but you had, certain adults who were eager to help the kids have their dance like they wanted to have. So Mabel is that adult. And told they're planning this big dance at the Union Hall. And the kids are all excited. And everybody's decorating the Union Hall. They're decorating the town. There's hearts up everywhere. And Mabel is pretty much at the center of it. Well, a woman is killed in the mines in a beginning shot of the film. And her heart is put into a heart-shaped candy box, just like Harry Warden did 20 years ago. And the mayor gets it, and he's riding around with the chief of police, Chief Newby, and he's like, if there's one thing I love more than Christmas candy, it's Valentine's candy. And he says, have some, and Chief Newby says, well, who's it from? So there's a card inside, and it basically, threatens them, if you go through with this dance, this is going to keep happening. And he uncovers what should be candy, and it's that woman's heart. So this goes along a trail that unravels the whole idea of having a dance. So the dance gets canceled. But the kids still want to have their party. Well, guess where they decide to have the party? They decide to have the party at the mine, in the, the lunchroom or wherever where the miners go to eat their lunch. And it's TJ's idea. He's like, how about my father's mine? Everybody's like, ooh, So, yeah, the bloodshed continues. Basically, I don't want to give it all away because there's probably a certain amount of people out there that, although they may be horror fans, they may have not seen this one. So I don't want to give it all away. I'll leave it, as a mystery. Some people might say, well, come on, Dana, this movie came out in like 1981. You can tell the ending. Well, I'm trying to be considerate on the off chance that there may be horror fans out there that haven't seen it, right? So, this movie has always been one of my favorites since I discovered it many, many moons ago. I can watch it any time of the year, but I don't want to let Valentine's Day go by without me watching My Bloody Valentine. And it's got great gore. because now the first time around that I ever watched it, the all the uncut stuff was not in there. They had cut it all out. Paramount wanted it all cut out. So with the advent of, DVD and Blu-ray and now 4K, um, if they have good copies, if they have the negatives that have that uncut footage, and in this case, we were lucky enough to get pretty pristine copies of this uncut footage. So by the time this came out on Blu-ray and now 4K, it looks pretty good. It's not like Silent Night, Deadly Night, which unfortunately, um, all of that footage was thrown away and never recovered. They literally cut the uncut stuff out of the negatives with Silent Night, Deadly Night. So the only thing we were able to get is stuff spliced in from old VHS copies, which sadly makes it look pretty bad. They did, excuse me, when they first put it out and had the uncut footage, it looked awful for Silent Night, Deadly Night. And then somebody really took the initiative and fixed it as best they could, but it's still rough. So that when the 4K of Silent Night, Deadly Night came out recently, I think this past December, they only put the cut version in 4K. But you can see the uncut version on the Blu-ray that's also included. But, we're not talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night. We're talking about My Bloody Valentine. And so I would recommend, if you've never seen this before, I would recommend you watch the uncut version so you can see, especially if you're a gore hound like me and you want to see all that stuff. All right. So this has got excellent special effects. I think this has a large group of people that are likable, the kids. And even the adults are not bad. Like I said, Mabel Osborne, the lady that wants to, get the dance, bring the dance back to Valentine Bluffs. She's just a sweet older woman who really, seems interested in giving back to the youth of her town. So, and I don't really think there's anybody that is extremely unlikable in this movie. Even Happy, the town bartender, who serves up the moose head, which I'm going to have to try to get me some more moose head for the season because I don't normally drink beer because I just generally don't like the taste of it. I would prefer my Fireball whiskey or mixed drinks or something like that. But usually around the Valentine's season, I will do a toast to, My Bloody Valentine and some of the people that have passed away from My Bloody Valentine. Paul Kelman, who played TJ in the film. Keith Knight, who played Hollis, one of my favorite characters in. I had a crush on Paul Kelman in My Bloody Valentine, the character of TJ. But I was absolutely in love with the big teddy bear Hollis, who, just seemed so sweet and kind. And I think Keith Knight was a pretty nice guy anyway in real life. So it probably wasn't a stretch for him to play these characters. And sadly, I learned about it way too late with Paul Kelman, that Paul Kelman really liked interacting with fans. Either him or My Bloody Valentine, his work in My Bloody Valentine. And I never got the chance, unfortunately, before he passed away. At the time of his passing, he was in very, very poor health. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, gang. If I keep coughing like that, you know how you just, something just goes down wrong or you just get a tickle in your throat. Um, but I wish that I had, figured that out way, before he passed away. But I never did. And that is a regret of mine. But Alf Humphreys, who plays Howard in the film, has also sadly passed away. Um, I think I think he had brain cancer, um, and he's the more recent. Well, yeah, I think he was the more recent death. I can't remember if Paul Kelman died just before or after Alf Humphreys died. Um, but I drank the moose head in honor of My Bloody Valentine, but I also drink it in honor of the people we've lost from that film. People might say, "Well, that's just silly, Dana." Why are you drinking Moosehead beer in honor of these people? Well, it's a Canadian beer, for one thing. And what better way, if you drink? If you don't, I totally understand people not wanting to partake of it. But if you do drink, and I usually just drink one, if I'm doing a stream or I'm doing a watch along, which I am planning on Friday, the February 14th, on Valentine's Day. I'm not sure how Steve's going to feel about this, but I'm going to do an extra special. I've got to put the promotion out, and I need to get on that tonight. But I'm going to be doing an extra special My Bloody Valentine watch along. You're going to get a bonus, gang. And I'm going to be doing that for My Bloody Valentine. So if there are any of you guys and gals that want to be on there with me and you watch this Terror Time Tea, please let me know. And I'll try to make sure that you can come on there with me and talk about My Bloody Valentine. So I've been on here for almost 30 minutes and haven't even gotten to the second movie, folks. But I'm going to go ahead and give my rating for My Bloody Valentine using the Deadites rating scale. And I'm going to have to give this sucker 5 Deadites out of 5. And it deserves every single one of those Deadites, in my opinion. Okay? Now, as I always tell you guys and gals, don't just go by what I say, or don't even go by what a couple of us horror fans say, or 5 of us. Ultimately, you need to make the decision about what you like and what you don't like, what you want to spend your money on. So, if you've never seen My Bloody Valentine, I would encourage you to try to find a for free version to watch first. And if you decide, man, I love this film, this is going to be a film that I'm going to watch on a regular basis, or I'm going to watch every year around Valentine's Day, then you could think about, which version you want to get. Do you want to get the 4K that has a Blu-ray with it? Do you have the ability to watch it in 4K? Or do you want to just stick with the Blu-ray? Okay? Because, of course, the 4K is going to be a little bit more expensive, right? And you may still be able to get a copy on DVD as well if DVD is your only route. VHS might be a little bit harder to find if you're still in VHS mode. And I'm not making fun of anybody that just continues to watch VHS or DVD. Who am I to say, how you should watch your films? So that is My Bloody Valentine. The next one stars Barbie Benton, X-Ray, or under the title that I originally saw it on and rented it under Hospital Massacre. Hospital Massacre, I'll be totally honest, caught my eye and would continue to catch my eye more than X-Ray. But that's just me. anything with mascara in the title, I'm thinking, all right, now we're in for a fun time, right? Um, so Barbie Benton, if y'all are in the know, I think she had something to do with Playboy. She was a Playboy playmate or something. So, but that was many moons ago. But she was very attractive on this movie. You do see her breasts in the movie and stuff. So for you guys that want to, take a look at some skin on Miss Barbie Benton in her prime, this is a movie where you can do that. And I remember my dad talking about and mom saying, "Yeah, it's got Barbie Benton on it." And as a kid, I was like, "Who's Barbie Benton?" I didn't know. Um, but you may be thinking, "Well, how's this one a Valentine's Day film?" Well, all the action takes place on Valentine's Day, basically. So we start out with a scene of a young boy and a young girl, maybe about 11 or 12, possibly 13, playing with a little train set, and the girl's like telling him, make it go faster and faster and faster. And those of you that have seen a lot of horror movies and have a sharp eye will notice Elizabeth Hoy from My Bloody Birthday, who played the little evil blonde girl. She's not really an evil girl in this one, but she plays the young Susan. Barbie Benton plays the adult Susan, but Elizabeth Hoy plays the young Susan at the beginning of the film. So they're playing and stuff, and there's Valentine's decorations all around, and um, we see another boy on the outside looking in, and I think that is Billy Jacoby. And Billy Jacoby was also one of the evil little kids on My Bloody Birthday. I'm still thinking about My Bloody Valentine. Bloody Birthday. So not only is Billy Jacoby in there, Elizabeth Hoy's in there as well. And like I said, if you have an eagle eye, you have a sharp eye, you will notice those two people in there. But there's something a little off about Harry. Um, or is it Harold? They call him Harold. Um, so Harold's a little weird, a little off. So um, they hear a knock at the door, and when they open it, when Susan opens it, there's nobody there, but there's a card, I believe, maybe it's in a red envelope. Not really sure, but there's a note inside basically that Harold wants to be Susan's boyfriend and her Valentine. And he's watching, as she gets this. And he's also watching as Susan and her friend laugh and crumple up the note and throw it down. And he gets really, really angry. And Susan says she's going to go cut him some cake. And there's this weird little scene thrown in. I don't know if it's made to throw us off here at the beginning, where Susan is taking a knife and she's standing there and she's looking real intense, and then she just cuts this cake. And she hears a bunch of commotion coming from the living room where she had left her friend. And when she comes in there, she finds that her friend has been hung and strangled from what we always called back home a hall tree that you would hang your coats and stuff like that on. And she screams, and you see Harold outside the window. He's just so joyful. He's messed up, obviously. So fast forward to Susan has grown, and she had to have a physical before she can take a job that she's got promoted to. And she's divorced from her husband. She has a boyfriend. That her and her ex-husband have a child together, and he, he always, her ex-husband always does things to irritate her. I guess it wasn't an amicable divorce. And he's like, can't you take her now? And he's brought their daughter there, and she clearly loves her daughter, but she says no. She says, I can't take her now. I have to go to the hospital to get my test results and my physical. And she says, can't you do anything right? And so she gets in the car with her boyfriend, who takes her to the hospital. Well, somebody ends up killing her doctor and replacing her test results with some test results that make it look like she's got something really bad wrong with her. And this is a weird ass hospital anyway. There's weird people in here, and it's like, is this a regular hospital, or is this they put her on the mental ward or what? There's these three old ladies that are weird. The nurses are mean and hateful. There's not a whole lot of likable characters in X-Ray as opposed to My Bloody Valentine. Most of them are just weirdos. She does meet one intern there who seems to take a liking to her and wants to help her out and all that stuff. Then you got this other weird doctor that I think he just wants to, fill Barbie Benton up. He's a weirdo. The nurses are weird. A lot of the patients are weird. And so people just keep, getting killed off. A head ends up inside of a cake box, and then conveniently disappears when, Susan is screaming, telling them, you got to get me out of here. There's a head in a box. And I'm being kind of cagey about some of the stuff because I don't want to, give away the shocks and the surprises in this, in case, X-Ray is not a film that you've seen. But again, I always like this one. Fun little, film. I think I want to say that Canon put these out, put both of them that are, yeah. Because there's also Schizoid on here, which is not really a Valentine film, has Klaus Kinski in it. But usually, whenever I pull this one out that's got both movies on it, I will watch X-Ray first and then flip it over to Schizoid, which is another movie that I like really well. So like I said, I have a lot of fun with this one. It's not quite as good as My Bloody Valentine, but I'm going to give it 4 deadites out of 5 because I think it should get at least 4, because even though it's really low budget, some of the acting might be a little below par, and there might be some cheesy things in it. I still think it's a fun little film. Not necessarily a so bad it's good, because I don't think it's that bad of a film. A little cheesy here and there, but the effects are good. I enjoyed Barbie Benton's acting in this. I don't think she's too bad of an actress. They could have picked somebody a lot worse. But again, I would encourage people to watch this one. However, again, please, please, please do not plunk down your hard earned money until you've seen this movie and determine if this is something that you're going to continue to watch. Okay. Now, if you watch it for free, you might say, Dana's full of crap. This movie, and you might say that about My Bloody Valentine as well. And that's why I always say, before you pay money, we have to work hard for our money, right? Before you plunk down any money, please watch these in a for free version, okay? So that is X-ray. And I've been on here almost 40 minutes, so I think it's probably time for me to sign off. So hopefully you guys and gals will be able to tune in Tuesday for another Dick's Picks and Wednesday for another episode of Cannon Fodder. And keep your eye out for more Soup and Jallows shorts coming up. Uh, I'm going to try to do them every week. We'll see how that goes. And they're not going to be any longer than 3 minutes because I can't make them any longer than that. So with people that want bite-sized chunks of stuff, there you go. Also, don't forget to vote in the poll for the upcoming watch-alongs because we're switching things up a little bit. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm not saying I won't return to it, but you can still give super chats and it will go right back into the channel, as I always try to promise. However, if you give a super chat, you're not going to get to pick a watch along. You're just going to be giving me a super chat because you want to support the channel. And we're going to try this poll thing for a while and see how that goes. And I guess that's it for me. I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do, before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Sunday evening and night, folks. And I'll see everybody next time.